Here we go. Hi, Jeff Rising here, and thanks for listening to the Jeff Rising Show. So today is July 13th, 2021. Took me a while to work up the nerve to record this, but here is my story with alcohol. 365 days ago, I woke up and I said, you know what, this is enough. I've had enough. On the surface, my life looks great, great family, great kids, great spouse, nice house, great business. But on the underneath, are the things that people don't see that go on, right? So I think that, a lot of people didn't realize, or maybe they did, realize how much I drank. I was not the wake up in the morning, have a drink to get through the day kind of drinker. I was definitely probably what you would classify as a binge drinker. When I did drink, it was all or nothing, right? So I thought it'd be important to, even though this is very uncomfortable for me, I thought it'd be very important to share my story for this part of my life. And I'm gonna make this a series. I'll do my story with real estate and my story just in general. Just to kind of share those parts of my life. I think it's really important to share your story because, people won't hear you until they know you, right? So here goes. So I started drinking first when I was about 14 years old. Moved out to, a rural community, not a lot going on. This was the late 80s. So, this is pre-social media. We had 3 channels on the TV back then. Yes, I said the TV. It just, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. You're a kid and you're supposed to be spending the night at one person's house. You really go to another person's house. That person's parents don't really give a shit what you're doing as long as you're not bothering them. So that's what we did. We went over, staying at my buddy's house. We actually ended up going to a different friend's house, and I was 14. There were people there that were 18, people there that were 20, 21. Of course, getting alcohol wasn't the problem back then. It was you find somebody that lives next to the store and buy them a 40 and they'll buy you a couple, and just pay for theirs. So that's kind of the danger. After doing the research and reading I've done in the past year, I've learned that you definitely shouldn't introduce alcohol into a child's life, a teenager's life. Your brain is still forming, your brain is still developing, and you create those neural pathways to where whatever, a sip of wine here and there. I know a lot of people are like, well, they do it in different cultures, I'm going to give my kid wine. That's fine, that's your choice, that's up to you. A sip of wine here and there is probably not harming anybody, but when you do what I did, to where you just became a pretty regular drinker at 14, 15, and 16, then that creates those neural pathways in your brain to where your body just needs that, right? And I'm not a scientist. I don't have an MD. I don't have a PhD in anything. I just read a lot, and these are the things I've read. So, we live in a culture where it's glamorized. Drinking is glamorized. Beer commercials are a bunch of people kayaking and working out. People who drink scotch are cool. Even though, I used to smoke too regularly. I started smoking, cigarettes when I was 14 or 15. So, back then they had the Marlboro Man, they had Camel Joe, the guy in the camel packs, make it fun for kids, right? Look, it's a cartoon character, Camel, right? But even before that, the Marlboro Man, the Marlboro Man, a cool cowboy smoking a cigarette after he did his work on the farm for the day. So they don't show the real picture, the story of the people that are smoking 2 packs a day, or the people that are drinking all day or binge drinking on the weekends. So it's pretty much the beginning for me was 14, 15 years old, going to parties, going to do things, and drinking pretty regularly. And then fast forward to my late teenage years, early 20s. I became a parent at 17. Finished high school, went straight to working in a factory, and pretty much hated that line of work. I just really the person I was with at the time, while I was gone all day working, would have we were teenagers with our own apartment. What else, what are you gonna do except get into trouble when you're a teenager with your own apartment and all your teenage friends have a place to go hang out and drink, right? So So that was it. I would, go work my second shift factory job, come home at midnight, and we'd drink all morning till 3 or 4, sleep a few hours, get up and do it all over again. I was 18, 19 years old doing that pretty much every day. So again, still even at 18 and 19, your brain's not fully developed. You're still technically growing. But then that's the kind of the norm in my life, was just drinking and binge drinking to that effect. You're not just, when you're 18 and drinking, you're not just having a beer when you come home and watching a show on TV. You're drinking to get drunk at that age, right? So, so going into my 20s, I still, after I got 21 and 22, 23, 24, I probably didn't really, there were probably a couple of times a month where I would, tie one on, or have a go out to the bar and drink too much and have a hangover the next day. 2 or 3 times a month, not a regular occurrence. I was 26, got out of working in a factory finally. Went on the road with my good friend John, and he gave me a job with Chippendales, which is the national touring company for the Las Vegas show. That summer, the year was 2000. I was 26 years old. As February, I hit the road for 9 months of my life, and I was a co-MC for the show, production manager. I set up the equipment, set up the show every town we went to, and even then we drank pretty regularly, but it wasn't really getting hammered every night kind of thing. We would have a couple drinks during the show just to have fun, just to loosen up, and then that was pretty much it during that time of my life. And there were a couple times on the road I remember, drinking way too much and having a hangover the next day, and getting on the bus and heading to the next town and having to set up the show with a hangover, right? So then after that ended, I went to work in a bar. I was a bartender, worked at GNC, and then, putting someone like me in charge of a bar was a bad idea, right? That was a terrible idea. There was, worked in a bar to where everything was counted and measured pretty strictly. So the only thing that was a free pour alcohol was Jägermeister. So we pretty regularly drank Jägermeister on the job when I worked in that bar. So again, not a hey, I have to have a drink in the morning to get through the day kind of person. But when I drank, I got drunk, and when I got drunk, I counted on having a hangover the next day, right? And that stayed pretty consistent through my late 20s, 30s. I can remember back to being, 30 years old, trying not to drink, but leaving work and just kind of on autopilot, pulling into the liquor store on the way home and grabbing a 12-pack to take home with me to drink a few. And it wasn't really on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. It wasn't I'm going to drink 10 beers, but it was, 3 or 4 or 5 usually every day. So that was kind of the struggle off and on. I'm 47 years old now, and 365 days ago I woke up and I said, okay, this is stupid. This is enough. I can be a better parent. I can be a better spouse. I can be a better business owner. I can be a better boss. I can be a better broker. I can be a better real estate agent to my clients. I can be a better real estate coach to my agents and to my coaching clients. So I said, enough is enough. I joined on with Hero Nation, the coaching company. I was coaching with Wayne, the head guy at Hero Nation, founder. And I read his book, The Art of Getting Back Up. In the book, he talks about the times in his life where he struggled and hit rock bottom. I guess that was it for me. If you want to call it rock bottom, you can call it rock bottom, or just call it an awakening, or kind of a point to where, The Art of Getting Back Up, the book, the point of the book is no one is coming to save you. Like you can be your own hero. It's up to you what you do. You are the only person that can fix your life. It doesn't matter how often your spouse yells at you for drinking too much. It doesn't matter how how many Saturday and Sunday mornings you miss with your kids because you have a hangover. It doesn't matter how many listings you lose because you went on a listing appointment with a hangover and probably didn't perform your best. No one is coming to save you. Like, you have to make the decision yourself to finally hit that point to where you're like, okay, enough is enough. So that was my point, July 13th, 2020. I woke up and I said, enough is enough. I've struggled with this for too long. The funny thing is I was always conscious that I was drinking too much, but it was, I thought more about not drinking than I thought more about drinking when I wasn't drinking than I did drinking, if that makes sense. So, you know, there's all these unwritten rules when you're drunk, right? Hey, I can drink on Thursday. It's Thirsty Thursday. I can drink on Friday. Everybody drinks on Friday. I can drink on Saturday. Everybody drinks on Saturday. Sunday, football's on Sunday. I can drink on Sunday, right? So it was like days like Monday, like, oh, I shouldn't drink today, right? Oh, unless we went out for dinner or something, then I can have a couple drinks, because even though it's Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. Oh, hey, it's Wine Wednesday. We all these great names we call it to justify drinking alcohol on those days. So then I did decide to quit drinking this time last year, and then found I was actually on Amazon, so I found Heineken Zero non-alcoholic beer. So that would kind of, because that was the other thing. I truly like beer, I like craft beer, I like the taste of beer. So, the thought of living a life, so you have all these, when you first decide to quit drinking, you have all these things that run through your head. Am I going to be fucking boring? Like, no one wants to hang out with me? And like, what the hell am I going to do? Like, how am I going to handle going to parties? And how am I going to do this or that or whatever? And and those are the things leading up until then that you kind of justify. Well, I can't quit drinking because then I won't have any friends, or no one will hang out with me, or I'll be boring, or sometimes you just want to go to a ball game and have a beer. You want to have a beer while you're grilling burgers or whatever. So finding Heineken Zero kind of satisfied that part. Like I could go out and use the grill and grill some burgers and have a beer, even though it was non-alcoholic. So it was the taste, the experience, and everything. So I was looking for something. Heineken Zero is great, but I figured there's got to be some other stuff out there. So I was actually on Amazon researching non-alcoholic beers when I found a book called This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. Let me see if I can find a picture of it here. So I'll keep talking while I'm looking for this. So really, I stumbled across this book, and it pretty much changed my complete outlook on alcohol. And it just talks about society and how society views alcohol, how society views alcohol and celebrates alcohol, and celebrates people partying and getting drunk, and how people justify giving alcohol to their children. And that's probably the worst thing. Telling your kid, like, hey, you can have a sip of wine, but kind of portray that to them as being grown up. Because what the fuck do teenagers want to do? They want to be grown up. You tell a teenager that drinking alcohol makes them grown up, it's a grown up thing to do. What the fuck are they going to do? They're going to drink. They're going to get drunk, right? So it's just really eye opening. And I recommend get the book This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. Follow her on Instagram. She has a podcast as well. And just once you get to this point, and I'm not perfect. I don't think my journey's anywhere near over. I've only been doing this for 1 year, but my life is better. I can tell you that. I don't miss getting drunk. I don't miss having hangovers. When I hang out with people, I still have non-alcoholic craft beer, and I still feel like I'm drinking a beer. I'm just not getting drunk, right? I'm not catching a buzz. So once you kind of step out of the norm of drinking alcohol is normal, and this is just what grown-ups do, this is just what adults do. You go out and you have pasta, you have red wine, or you have go out, you grilling burgers, you have to have beer, right? You're on the beach, you have to have some kind of cocktail because you're on the beach enjoying it. We just went to the Caribbean on vacation for a week, and I didn't crave alcohol, I didn't drink alcohol, I didn't miss it. I probably enjoyed my vacation more because I wasn't drinking or getting drunk or forgetting things. Because towards the end of my drinking, it was getting pretty bad, and I thank God my wife stood by me the whole time, but I realized that I was making a bad example for my kids, and there's a difference between having a couple beers when you're hanging out with your friends and getting completely shit-faced, right? We all know that. And that's the example I was setting. The example I was setting for my kids is when you drink, you have to get drunk. That's what you do. When you drink, you have to get slobbering, stupid drunk, and sleep in until 10 or 11 the next morning because you have a hangover. That's the example I was setting, and I was became really aware of that and conscious of that the older my kids got at home. So I just stopped. And you know, they know that I drink non-alcoholic beer now. They haven't asked a lot of questions about it. You know, they're 13 and 10. You know, so you know, whatever their 13-year-old and 10-year-old brains can wrap around that, we'll discuss those things when the appropriate time comes. But I'm gonna tell them the same thing. Like, hey, if you're at a friend's house and their parents want to try to be cool and give you a beer when you're 16, don't do it. You know, if you know, someone's having a graduation party and says, here, you can have some wine, it's okay. Don't do it. You know. So I know I'm just rambling, so I'm kind of losing track of where I was. But towards the end, you know, most of my drinking episodes ended in blackout. You know, I'd wake up the next morning and not remember the last couple hours of the night. You know, other bad decisions I would make when drinking, and obviously I would smoke cigarettes when drinking. I was not an everyday smoker, but when I drank, I would smoke. You know, and not smoking every day, but when you drink, you go through a half a pack or a whole pack of cigarettes. You know, and always tried to hide smoking cigarettes from my kids, you know, because it was bad. I didn't want them to do that. So then I was like, well, why the hell am I hiding smoking cigarettes? But I'm sitting here getting shit-faced every Friday and Saturday night, you know. So again, you know, not drinking has also led to not smoking. I've also not smoked a cigarette in over a year. So that's the side benefits of that, you know. And you think back, or when I think back on my life, a lot of the dumb shit I did or the bad decisions I've made or things like that, you know, always had alcohol involved in some aspect, right? And I'm sure a lot of people can say the same thing. And again, the reason I wanted to record this is I hope other people can relate. Know that you're not alone. There's other people like you out there. I was, you know, doing the same thing for several years. I mean, I drank pretty heavily from the time I was, you know, 15 or 16 until 46. That's a solid freaking 30 years of drinking. I could probably sit down and probably calculate and average over the time how many thousands and thousands and thousands of beers I probably drank during that time. And it's pretty ridiculous, you know, when you finally step out of that situation and look back on it, you're like, I can't believe I did that for so long, right? I can't believe I did not wake up sooner and realize that needed to stop. So here I am, July 13th, 2021, 365 days later. My life is better. I've got more focus on what's important in my life. I'm glad I was able to do things like go on a vacation with my family and remember every single moment of it. Get up early every morning and have coffee and go out for adventures during the day because I wasn't nursing a hangover. Going to you know, out to dinner with my family without drinking. Again, just setting that expectation when my kids are young that, hey, when you go out to dinner, you have to have a glass of wine. You know, why? You don't have to. And I understand. I didn't turn anti-drinking, so let me get that real clear with everybody. If you're still listening, I did not turn anti-drinking. My wife still drinks. We still go to our friend's house. They all drink. I don't have a problem with anyone else drinking around me. I'm the one that had the problem, so I was the one that had to stop, if that makes sense. So please don't take this as I'm chastising you or anybody else because they drink. I've just made the decision not to drink alcohol anymore, and it's worked out better for me. My life is better. My relationship with my family is better. My work is better. My focus at work is better. My focus on goals over the next 10 or 15 years of my working life are more focused. I've got more time back, you know. Like I said, I would pretty regularly drink too much and have a hangover most weekends and sleep in till 10 or 11. Or if I did get up early, I'd go to work appointments with a killer hangover and probably not do my best. I'm sure the clients could tell, right? So that's it in a nutshell. You know, that's my story with drinking. 30 years of drinking too much finally came to an end, and I'm glad that it did. And I hope that this story has helped you in some way, or helped someone you know in some way. Please share it with them. You know, if there's someone that you know that was in my situation, just drinking too much, then please share this with them. Please have them contact me. I would love to talk to anybody about this that has the same problems that I did, because I hopefully I can shed some insight on it, what I did to stop drinking. And it's not easy. The first few months that I didn't drink, shit was weird. The world was a weird place. You start to realize all the things that you drink to not remember, you drink to not pay attention to, you drink to forget. There's the best way I can describe it is you kind of live in this bubble, right? You can see so far the bubble, you can see out to here, then everything gets kind of blurry out there, right? So once you stop drinking and remove alcohol from your life, when you drink like I did, your bubble gets bigger, right? You can see more of the world. You can see more of things going on. You can feel more. You can see more, hear more things going on. It's really hard to put into words. Anybody else that was like me, that drank a lot, that quit drinking, can probably relate that your world gets bigger, I guess is the best way to put it. The world around you gets to be a bigger place once you stop drinking. And again, you start having to deal with things in your life when you can't grab a drink to distract yourself. I had a shitty day, I'm gonna have a drink. Man, I'm starting to remember these shitty things that happened to me in my life, I'm gonna have a drink. Man, I'm starting to remember these shitty things I did to someone else in my life 10 years ago, I'm gonna have a drink. You drink to forget these things, you drink to numb your feelings. And one thing there's another great book that my friend Audrey suggested to me called Sober Curious. There's a great line in the book that says, when you drink to numb the darkness, you also numb the light. So when you drink to numb and forget things, all the bad things that happen to you, you also numb the good things about yourself that you have to give to the world. So remember that when you drink to numb the dark, you also numb the light. And so that really resonated with me. I knew I could be a better person if I stopped drinking, but I need to figure out a way to deal with all these other things that I'm drinking to forget about, right? So I hope that helps. I'll try to cut it off. There's probably a lot of other horror stories in there I could relate with you, but you get the gist of it, right? The gist of it was I knew I was drinking too much. I knew it was affecting my family. I knew it was affecting my work. I knew it was affecting my health. I would literally get a few beers in and I would feel toxic. I would think to myself, I'm fucking polluting my body right now. But I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop physically. I just couldn't stop myself. I just kept drinking, until I would either black out and go to bed, pretty much. And that happened quite a bit. And I'm glad that I stopped. I know my family's glad that I stopped, and I'm a better person. I feel better. I work better. I'm healthier. Lost some weight. Got in better shape. I'm 47 years old and probably in the best shape I've ever been in my life. I'm trim. I'm thin. Feel better. I can do more cardio. Tons of benefits. I don't want to bore you forever on all the benefits. Everything starts with your health. Health, home, business. There's the full circle living right here, which I'm starting to build a coaching program around. Everything starts with your health. If you're healthy, the other things in your life are better. So hope that helps. Again, please share this episode with someone else that you might know that could hear the message, to know that you're not alone. I'm pretty sure the only person that knew I was drinking as much as I was drinking is my wife, because there's, you do things at home that people don't know. People don't, it's Wednesday night, open a bottle of wine. Why the hell would you leave leftover wine? Of course you're going to finish the fucking bottle of wine, duh. And that was a pretty regular occurrence, in my household for me. That, sometimes one bottle would turn into two, and that's the reality of it. That's the truth of it. And if anybody else is out there doing the same thing and wants to talk about it, I'm here. Send me a message. We can jump on a phone call or just chat. But, the things you do in secret will haunt you, and it started to haunt me to where I was finally to a point where I said enough is enough, Let's see what happens when I quit drinking. Let's see if I become a boring fucking person. Let's see if nobody wants to hang out with me. The absolute opposite happened. I love life more than I did a year ago. I have a better, closer relationship with my kids. I have a better, closer relationship with my spouse. And everything is all around better. I feel better. But yeah, the first few months after you quit drinking are quite a journey. So please don't do it alone. I did not go to Alcoholics Anonymous or any of those kind of things. I read a lot of books about it, and I just kind of did my own thing. So you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to go to AA every week if I want to quit drinking. You don't have to. I mean, it's probably helpful for a lot of people. It wasn't necessary for me, and I've been able to do it without it. So, but if you do need someone to talk to and you're listening to this, or if you know somebody else that needs to hear this message, please share it with them. And I am here if you need me. And that's my story with alcohol. Here's today, day 366, and for the next rest of my life. Talk to you soon, and have a great one.